So History 17B Autumn Quarter of 2023. I am Karen Gettleman, and I will be your instructor this quarter. Just call me Karen. I don't like my last name, so just Karen is good. This is, of course, your welcome to the class lecture. In this lecture, we will be considering what you have signed on for by taking this class with me, and we'll go over the course format. When it comes to lecture format, I put an outline near the beginning of each lecture so that you could see at a glance which topics are covered in any particular video, and you can see that here. Most outlines won't be this long. I've marked each of the things I'll go over because this video will be one of your resources when you have questions about the class. You will also be able to find all of this information in the syllabus, and I will go over that in this lecture. Because this lecture is on the long side, I'm breaking it into two parts. In part one here, I will go through the general points of part 5, and I will put the specifics of part 5 and the rest of the lecture in part 2 of lecture 1. We will start with navigating the course site on Canvas. If you are listening to this lecture, chances are you have already found this course on Canvas, but just in case, something like this is what you will see when you go to your Canvas dashboard. And you will want to click on the box for History 17B, indicated by the red arrow on my screen. When you open the course site to home, you will see something that looks like this if you have selected Collapse All, circled in red over here, or like this, depending on whether you have the little arrows on your home page, whether they're toggled to open in the red circle or closed in the green circle. I guess I did that kind of backwards. Green usually means go, but whatever. You can get to the syllabus and course modules by clicking on either home over here on the left or modules. Both of those are indicated by the green arrows. On the course homepage, there is a list of modules identified by capital letters. So we have Module A, Module B, and so on. These are shown with red rectangles around Module A and Module B. You can tell which module covers what, generally what it goes over, from the heading title next to the module letter. So this is Module A, Getting Started. The next one will be Module B, After the Civil War. And I generally give you an approximate date range. That's what the CA means, circa or about. When you open a module, you will see links for lectures, and those aren't shown here because this is the first lecture and I haven't posted it yet, so there's no link, but it will be under the module. You'll also see a pop culture package, or what I'm calling a pop culture package, and readings. I'll go over what to do with those in a moment when we go over the course syllabus. Please note that modules do not correspond to weeks. Now, I'm going to say that several times because people get confused. The modules do not correspond to weeks. It's not like each module is a week long. They may be half a week, they may be 2 weeks. I may give you either 2 or 3 lecture videos a week, and I may adjust how long I want to spend on any given topic as we go along. You will never be responsible for something that I haven't given you enough time to work with. This is from another course site of mine, but you will be finding lectures in the same way in this course. Once a lecture is posted, you can get to the link either by clicking on the lecture entry under the module, shown in the green oval here, or by clicking on assignments in the menu at the left at the tip of the red arrow. Clicking under the module will take you directly to the lecture link, which you will then click. Again, this is for another class, but it will look exactly the same for yours, except the lectures will be on different topics. PDFs of the readings can be accessed from the modules on the homepage. That is this blue oval. I am not asking you to buy a textbook or any other book for this class. You can also find readings by going to the Files option in the menu bar shown with the red arrow. If you go through Files, then you need to make sure that you open the folder for readings and then the one for the module that you want, in this case, Module A. Readings offered vary in number and length. Do not stress. I do not expect everyone to do every reading. This is explained more in the syllabus. You can access the so-called quizzes from assignments or from quizzes. This, again, is from a previous year, since there are not any quizzes up for you yet while I'm recording this. Quizzes are explained under the syllabus and coming up in this lecture. If you go through quizzes, the arrangement will be fairly straightforward. Again, this is obviously an example from a previous course. You all are welcome to use the discussions tab to communicate with one another. I will not be using it for coursework, but any of your TAs may choose to do so, although I hate the discussion tab, so I will discourage it. The syllabus module is above Module A on your course site. I've broken it into parts so you don't have to scroll through the whole thing written out, and so that you can find answers to your questions more easily. When I was young, before there were desktop computers, yes, really, way back then, the syllabus was on paper. We, the students, knew that we could ask about the course subject, but not the workings of the course itself. Things like due dates and test locations. If it was in the syllabus, we were expected to find the answer for ourselves. No mercy. And woe betide you if you lost that precious piece of paper or several pieces stapled together. The syllabus is still a thing in academia, even if you have regular access to instructors through messaging and emailing. Google on your own time at some point, it's in the syllabus, and you will get several million hits. There are memes and cartoons. You can buy shirts and pens. You can even buy embroidery kits, or at least you could when I wrote this. I'm not planning to be so strict or irritable as all of this. And yes, instructors do get tired of saying it's in the syllabus, it's in the syllabus. I tend not to be as irritable as most instructors, but it will make your life easier if you consult the syllabus for course info before you message me. But do feel free to message me if you do not find what you are looking for, or if you're confused by what you're reading. Think of a syllabus as your user manual for the course. You check through it to see how it's organized, and then look information up when you need it. The one exception to the one thing I might change from what's on here, that's why it says tentative, is lecture topics. I do have a probable sequence of topics that you can look at, and dates at the end of the syllabus. Those dates are the dates we'll be studying, not the dates we'll be doing things. But I find it makes more sense to put that information in the modules on the Canvas homepage as I go along, so that you don't have to hunt for it. And also because, as I said before, I am likely to adapt things as we go along. I'm going to go over some useful parts of the syllabus now, and then turn you loose with it. We will be starting by looking at how I am going to structure the lectures for the class. You have a written explanation of lectures, as well as advice on taking notes in the syllabus at the tab circled in red under syllabus module. You can also access this through the Files tab in the sidebar on the course homepage, and there will be a folder marked syllabus, and you can open it and find all of these parts. When you go to this particular tab, you will see something that looks like this image on the right. I will be what's called inverting the classroom for this course. Any lecture material that you need to understand will be on video. That gives me an opportunity in the Monday, Wednesday, Friday live sessions to discuss your interests and questions. One of the reasons that I am inverting the classroom is that I know that it can be tricky to balance all parts of overfilled and usually complicated lives. The Monday, Wednesday, Friday live lecture discussion times are not mandatory to you. I know that this will not take away most of your stress and the complications in your lives, but I'm hoping that my class can add as little as possible to that. The other, and perhaps main reason that the lectures are on video, is that I think it offers advantages that live lectures cannot. For example, you can watch videos in parts rather than in one long, exhausting stretch. If your mind wanders, you can go back and watch parts whenever you like. You can watch any part of the video multiple times, and you can watch a video section at midnight if that helps. Use the recorded lecture format to fit your own life and your own approach to learning. Lectures, in-person videos, taking notes. I'm acutely aware that life is complicated and one learning size has never fit all. I will be offering you far more material than you need for this class because you are individuals with different learning styles and interests, some of whom may want to delve deeper into specific parts of the class. Now, this is especially true with a Gen Ed class. There are some people who are history majors and want a lot more material, and there are some people who haven't had American history at all before and are looking for a more basic introduction. I've tried to make it possible for all of you and everyone in between to get something out of this class. You will have access to video lectures, in-person lecture discussions, in-person discussion sections with a TA, and readings. Now that sounds like a lot. This is not meant to overwhelm you with things that you must do, but to give you flexibility. In order to do well in the class, you will need to engage with lecture videos and discussion sections. You do not need to do everything, however. I would like for my class to fit into your life as much as possible and force you to organize your life around my class as little as possible. Recorded lectures. As I've said, our classroom will be inverted. All future lectures will be presented in video format. Links to recorded lectures will be under the Assignment tab and under modules. In the era of remote instruction back in 2020 and with COVID, I found that I actually preferred videos as the main mode of conveying information. We could fit watching videos into unpredictable work schedules and life events. We could stop a video whenever we like and come back to it. We can review part or all of the videos many times as we want. Once lecture videos are posted, you will have access through the end of the quarter. I will not take lectures down. And if our minds wander, like if yours might have just now, all is not lost. We could just go back to whatever we missed on the video. I structure lecture videos, and I boxed this because it's one of the more important parts. I do structure lecture videos to make accessing what you want, when you want it, and understanding what I want you to know as straightforward as possible. There will be an outline near the beginning of each lecture. There are slides labeling the parts of the lecture according to the outline so that you can fast forward or go back to particular parts of the lecture to find what you're looking for quickly. At the end of each lecture, I put a list of key points that I want you to have gotten or to get as you watch the lecture. Some people like to look at those first and then go back through the lecture. Many people watch the lecture video and use the key points slides to double check that they've gotten my main points. You do not have to watch every second of every video to do well in my class. But I have found that people who try to get by only looking at the outlines and the key points do not have a firm enough grasp of the material to make the class worthwhile, meaning also that they tend not to do well in terms of grade. I often have a coda or tail after the key points in my lectures videos. These codas tend to vary massively in length, and you are never required to watch them, nor are you responsible for anything in them. They are generally me doing an informal exploration of some aspect of history related to the class, something that came up while I was prepping, or something that came up in discussion. The recorded lectures are not going to follow the Monday, Wednesday, Friday date schedule exactly. Some weeks I may only post 2 lectures. I may post them on Tuesday and Thursday. Lecture videos have far more information than live lectures. So you are not going to be cheated of any course material. I will not ask quiz questions And again, I'll explain the quizzes. I will not ask questions for anything that has not been posted and available to you for at least 24 hours. And usually I wait 48, to be honest. Near the end of the quarter, maybe not so much. In-person lecture discussion times. I will be in Young 198 at our Monday, Wednesday, Friday lecture times, which are 1:10 to 2 p.m. You do not need to attend these live lecture discussions to do well. 150 minutes, that's what it adds up to a week, is not enough time to explain sometimes unfamiliar ideas and let people digest them. The live lecture discussions are meant as time for me to clarify or expand on central material. If work, family, or life issues keep you from attending those, you will be fine. Honestly, you will be fine as long as you go to section and use the lecture videos judiciously. As the designation lecture discussions suggests, these are open conversation time. I'm not certain how else to describe this. It's like a Q&A, but with no pressure to ask questions. I've often found that students will ask a question by prefacing it with, this isn't really related, but, and every time they do, it has been related, but in a sense that goes outside the official parameters of the course. I am over the moon if you are making broader connections from this class. So, what did you have for dinner is probably not a relevant question, but anything that occurs to you as you listen or read course material probably is. Now, I know not everyone likes speaking in front of a group. So you can message or email your questions to me ahead of time if you don't like to ask in a group setting. Taking notes on lectures. When taking notes on lectures, live or recorded, do not write down every word that I say. And I have found that it's easy to do that now in the age of video. Don't waste your time doing that. I generally structure my lectures with an outline and include key points at the end of the lecture section. Learn to pick out and understand the big ideas. This will help you in classes where there is no lecture video. In this case, if you want details for a paper or exam, you can figure out which section of a lecture to ask for clarification on or to go back to on your own. Moving on to part 3, course structure and grading. You will probably want to refer back to this part frequently. And I will tell you right now, I do not structure my course or my grading in the way that most people do. Course overview and structure is the very first item on the syllabus circled in red. And when you open it, you can see what it will look like on the right. This course is organized into modules designed to offer you multiple pathways to approaching material. Please note that modules do not correspond to weeks. I know I said that already, but I often have someone who's like, well, don't we have to have all 3 of these done by? No, I will tell you what you need to have done when you need to have it done. In one sense, in this class, all assignments are optional. Now, you do have to do assignments to get through the class, but it is up to you to complete whatever assignments you'd like in order to earn enough points for the grade that you want. All available assignments, including your section grade, add up to a total of 170 points. And I put oops because I did that thing that I recommend people don't do and copy pasted the section from the syllabus for another class that I've done. All right, you are graded on a fairly standard 100-point scale. I will reiterate that. Your grade is based on accumulated points, not on percentages. Percentages will never matter to you in this class. If you accumulate 90 points over the course of the quarter, you have a 90, which is an A-. You do not have a 90 out of 180 or 170, which would be an F. I've put my grading scale in the syllabus under course structure. And I'm putting it here so that you have a couple of ways to find it when you want it. It is a little bit different from one of the UC Davis grading scales in the sense that 93 is still an A-. It takes a 94 to get an A, and so on with the other grades. That really, once you see how the point systems work, you'll understand why I do that. I do not expect most students to complete all assignments. I'll say, I think I've had maybe 2 students total in the entire time that I've been teaching who completed all the assignments, and that was because they were super interested in the course material. Assignments outside of sections are a mix of short responses to lectures and reading. Usually lectures, but sometimes I'll tell you I want you to look at a particular reading. These short responses I have to call quizzes because of Canvas. You will also have a series of writing assignments structured to develop into a term project, and I'll go over all of that in a moment. You can combine assignments in whatever way works best for you. For example, you might complete all of the project writing assignments and ignore some of the weekly quizzes, or you may switch them back and forth as your schedule allows. I will tell you, you cannot skip all of the quizzes or all of the writing assignments or all of section and do well. Usually that doesn't happen. Occasionally someone manages it, but it's rare. Please note your section grade is worth up to 20 points and is determined solely by your TA. I do not have a hand in that. Also, your TA will be the one grading your final project assignments. These assignments are structured as stages, and again, more explanation in a moment. If you wait too many weeks to start this, you will limit the number of possible due dates that you can use to earn points. Better to start early on, do as much as you can before your other classes and midterms start to hit you. If you do not go to sections, you will miss clarifications of what we are looking for on each of the final project stages. Go to section. In the long run, it will make your life easier. There is a 24-hour grace period after the deadline for all course assignments, where you may turn them in without penalty. Now, this does not hold for any assignments you're given in section. Section policy is at the discretion of your TA. Other than that, I will generally not be offering extensions in this course since there's so much flexibility in the assignments. That said, disasters do happen, and they happen to someone every quarter. So please don't hesitate to contact me or your TA if you need to discuss your situation at any point. We don't need to be nosy. We just need to know how to help you. All work must be turned in by the time assigned to this class for the final exam, with no extensions at that point. So at that point, there is no 24-hour extension. And the reason is that your TAs and I will be under pressure from the university to turn grades in quickly. Remember, it's okay and expected that you miss some assignments here and there. If you're having a rough week, you can't do the quizzes, or if there's one writing assignment due date you don't take advantage of, that's okay. There are more assignments next week. You can navigate our Canvas site using the Modules tab. Each module will include a set of lecture videos with associated readings and a pop culture package. Lecture videos will not necessarily appear on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday basis. Yes, I think that's the 5th time I've said that, but people tend not to hear it. I will never ask you to do work for points on material that you have not had access to for at least 24 hours. Packages do not correspond to weeks in the quarter. I'm likely to spend longer on some topics than others. So actual dates for the topics covered are not set. Grading is the second entry in your syllabus. And this is the part that most people want to go back to because it is unusual. There are 3 categories of assignments in this course. You can mix and match until you accumulate enough points for the grade that you want. Points, not percentages. It is up to you to complete whatever assignments you'd like in order to earn enough points for your desired grade. All available assignments, including your section grade, add up to a total of 160 points. In addition, there are up to 10 points that I can add on to your accumulated points for an overall total of 170 possible points. The 10 discretionary points that I reserve are really intended not to penalize you, but as a boost for folks who come to the in-person lecture discussion meetings on a fairly regular basis. Different people learn differently in better ways, and I'm trying to make it possible for you to get something out of this class regardless of how you learn. You are graded on a standard 100-point scale. Once again, I will reiterate that. Your grade is based on accumulated points, not on percentages. If you accumulate 90 points over the course of the quarter, you have a 90, which is an A minus. You do not have a 90 out of 180 or 170 for you all, which would be an F. The categories and possible points offered in each are: Category 1 is lecture and reading quizzes, and those all told are worth up to 60 possible points. Category 2 is section, that's worth up to 20 possible points. Category 3 are the stages to the final project, and that's up to 80 possible points. And then my discretionary points, up to 10 possible points for people who come to the live discussion sections with me. So that's a total of a possible 170. I don't want people to obsess about grades. So the letter grade for more than 100 points is still an A. The 7 or so people at the top with the highest number of points at the end of the quarter do get an A+. Category 1, lecture quizzes. Those are worth 3 points per quiz. There are 20 quizzes, so 60 possible points. Each week, there will be 2 questions posted. The first one will appear at some point on Tuesday on your Canvas site, and the second at some point on Thursday. You can find these questions in the quizzes sidebar or navigate to them by using assignments. Your responses should incorporate material from the lecture. Make sure it's clear that I can tell that you have watched at least a significant proportion of the lecture, and any strongly encouraged reading where relevant. Responses should be at least 350 words, and they are due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m., basically midnight, on the week they are posted, but not quite mid. Don't be concerned by the fact that Canvas forces me to label these as quizzes. I am interested in having you engage with the material, not that you get some correct answer to or deliver deathless prose, although if you do that, I will enjoy reading it. As long as your response is of the required length and it is absolutely clear that you listened to lecture and did any relevant reading if the question specifically asked for it, you will receive full marks for quizzes. So notice, or I will tell you now, you can open a quiz, read the question, not submit an answer. If you do hit submit, then all is over for you. Don't hit submit. After you've read the question, you could go think about it, look at lecture, look at the reading, and decide how you want to answer it. Entirely random musings unrelated to course material or overly short statements may not get any points. Category 2, section points, 20 points. Section is your key to success in lower level history classes at UCD. Yes, I'm haranguing you about this once again. Do not cheat yourself by not going to section. Your TAs are all incredibly well qualified, and they are the ones who will guide you through analyzing readings and who will answer most of your questions on course material and final project assignments. Your TAs are the ones who will know how your work develops over the course of the quarter. Your TAs decide how many of your 20 section points you receive, as well as grading coursework you submit on Canvas. If your TA has no idea who you are, or if you miss important directions on assignments that your TA gives in section, you'll just do less well in class. Category 3, formal writing stages. There are 5 possible due dates. Now take that on board, due dates, with up to 16 points possible on each due date. So that's up to 80 points. There are 5 Fridays on each of which you may or may not turn in one and only one assignment for your final project. Those are weeks 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. There are 4 possible stages of assignments, but you are not required to get through all of the stages. The intention is that you have an opportunity to work with any stage until you feel comfortable with it without having that tank your grade. Now, unlike the informal writing, these stages do have specific requirements that you will need to meet before you progress to the next stage, but you may repeat any stage as often as necessary, meaning that you can still use all of the due dates. If you get a 15 or 16 points on a particular stage, you will automatically move on to the next stage. You can't do it again if you got 15 and get 16 points. If you get between 11 and 14 points, you may either move on or repeat that stage, and that will depend on the judgment of your TA. If you get 10 or fewer points, then you must repeat that stage, but you keep the points that you got. You must do the 4 stages in order. They build on one another. Doesn't make sense to do one of the later ones without having done the earlier ones. Your TA determines whether or not you will move on to the next stage. If you skip ahead before you have the all clear from your TA, you will not get any points for that due date. Do not confuse due dates and stages. You may turn in one stage assignment on any Friday in weeks 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, irrespective of whether you are repeating a stage or starting on a new stage. The up to 16 points goes with the due date, not with the stage. I find examples usually help. So let's say person X gets 5 points on stage A. They have to repeat it. They work with their TA and submit a redo of stage A on the next due date, which would be on week 4. They get the full 16 points on the redo. Person X has accumulated a total of 21 points from formal writing assignments and moves on to stage B. So week 2 turns in stage A, gets 5 points. We'll keep those 5 points. Week 2 turns in stage A rewrite, gets 16 points on the rewrite, added onto the 5 points they got for their effort before. Person 1 has accumulated 21 total points from final project assignments by the end of week 4. Now person Y gets 14 points on stage A and decides with their TA's permission to move on to stage B. In the 2 weeks before the next due date, person Y needs to spend more time on another class and opts not to turn in a final project stage on the second due date, week 4. There's no penalty for that. It just means you don't collect points that time. They do stage B and turn it in the next available due date, which is week 6. They get 5 points on stage B, work with their TA, and turn in a revised stage B the following week, getting 15 points. Person Y has accumulated 34 points from formal writing assignments, and by the way, must move on to stage C because they got a 15. So you can see 14 points, didn't turn it in, no penalty, just also no points. 5 points, get to keep those 5 points, they will not go away. 15 points for the quality of the stage B rewrite. This system takes some getting used to, so don't be afraid to ask for clarification or reassurance at any point. I will say more about your final project later in the second half of this video. So for now, just note that you can find a description of the stages under grading in the syllabus. I'm happy to have people reach out to me for any reason except to tell me that you hate me. You can message me through Canvas. You can email me. I've got it here. Usually if your email bounces or if you don't hear back from me, it's because we type TTLE by habit instead of TTEL. So make sure that you spell my last name right, not to make me happy, but so that you can reach me. You can also set up a Zoom meeting with me. Afternoons until 5, evenings between 7 and 10 p.m., and weekend times are usually available. Now, not every single time, obviously. My life gets in the way too, but I'm pretty flexible. But you do have to contact me to schedule a time and get a link. I get the heebie-jeebies sitting in front of an active camera waiting for people whether they show up or don't show up. So if you want a Zoom meeting with me, me, just get in touch with me and I'll be happy to work one into both of our schedules. This is the part that I will be dividing in two. So we're getting close to the end of this interminable lecture. I'll cover major points in part 1 here and give you more specifics in part 2. So this number 5 is how to succeed in history classes. I will give you 6 major pieces of general advice. First, do not get stuck in the details. We all do it, particularly if material is new to us and we do not already have a framework of knowledge. So if you've not had American history before, or you've not focused on the parts of American history that I'm focusing on, start by acknowledging how familiar or not you are with the particular material you're working with, and adjust your expectations of what you want to get from reading or a lecture. If you get more than you first expected, you are likely to be pleased for good reason. If you expect to remember absolutely everything we cover by December, you are likely to be disappointed. Now, you will note there are no in-class Blue Book exams. I do not force you to memorize dates or people's names because you can always look that stuff up. I want you to be able to think about history in a way that's not just memorization and not just what happened in the past. So don't get stuck in the details. Second, resign yourself to not being able to read every word that I give you or learn every detail that I give you. This goes for any level of study in history. Very few people in history can actually read everything that they would like to as completely as they would like to. The more you know about a certain time or place or historical question, the more quickly you can get through any given source. But then also, the more you know, the more sources you want or need to look through, and the more you realize what you do not know. It's a never-ending struggle. Third, approach everything in history, readings, lectures, writing assignments from the surface or the biggest parts and work your way down through levels toward the details. If you focus on the details first, you will quickly become overwhelmed. Now, I am an OCD person, and my particular OCD is that I feel like I have to read every word on a page or a sign. The one thing that cured me of that was graduate school in history, let me tell you. Fourth, don't feel like you have to enjoy every lecture or reading to enjoy history as a discipline. You will want to dig deeper into some topics than others, and that's totally okay. It means you're human. And finally, you are an individual with your own interests, your own experiences, and your own perspectives. Do not assume that if your perspective differs from your instructors, that would be me, that you have to keep quiet. I would kind of rather prefer that you don't stand up in the classroom and shout at me that I'm an idiot, but you can certainly talk to me if you think that I'm off base or if there's something I'm unaware of. Students are not the only ones who learn in a class. Just don't shout insults, please. And finally, strategize. What I mean here is that while poking into history randomly is quite fun, and I encourage it when you have the time and the resources, when it comes to doing assignments, you need to be more efficient. Having a basic plan of action for a course when it comes to approaching material, whether watching lectures or doing writing assignments, if you have a plan, it will help with stress reduction and efficiency. Unless the plan is, I will start at the very beginning and do absolutely every bit of everything in order, start to finish. That will catch you up, not just in my class, but at any class. All right, this isn't really the end of lecture 1, just the end of part 1 of lecture 1. So there is no coda here.